In this video, we're showing you how to use the April Brewer with the Paragon setup. Welcome, my name is Patrick Rolf and this is Coffee with April. For this episode, we're going to keep it really simple. We are going to test or show you how to use the April Brewers with the Paragon. Now, what is the Paragon? I'm sure most of you already know. I'm sure most of you have already seen all the different reviews that are out there on the market. But very simply put, it's a chilling technique where we're using a little stone or ball pretty much that we have put in the freezer to make sure to be as cold as possible. And basically by deciding which parts of the brew, initially the first part of the brew, that is being chilled down, we're going to be able to control or enhance the amount of aromatic compounds in the coffee. At least that is the theory. Now, when we're using it, there's a few things we want to consider. One, it has to be properly chilled down. That's really important. Two, you need to think about where the placement of the brewer is in relationship to the stone. So when talking to the Nucleus Coffee team, which is the creator of the product, Cecil Sestic and his team, they basically told me that it's very important that the brewer is as close to the stone as possible, right? So what we want to do is just two different versions of how I've been using it with the April Brewer. So the first brew that we're going to do is the April Plastic Brewer. We're going to be dosing 13 grams of coffee. And as you can see here, because it's a flatbed brewer, you have to be really careful about the placement of that stone, right? They have a little bit more of a gap than what you actually want, but that's really important as well. The second brew we're going to do is with the glass brewer. And if you pay attention here, you see it looks a little bit different than what we're used to. So the glass brewer actually has a plastic ring that you can decide to take off to basically regulate the flow rate. And that comes really handy. That comes in handy now when using the Paragon, because that allows you to really put it as close to the stone as possible, and that will also change the actual extraction. So with the glass brewer, I'm going to show you a larger brew. So we're going to be dosing 20 grams of coffee. Now, part of the secret here is that you can't let all of the brew go through. You have to make sure only a little bit of it actually does. So we're going to do the first brew, a standard kind of 13 grams of coffee to 200 grams of water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to pour a total of 50 grams of water. And this is the dose that we're going to let go through the stone pretty much, right? On the larger brew, we're doing a 20 to 300 divided into the normal 100 grams pours. So on this brew, we're actually going to allow all of the first 100 grams to go straight through over that stone. Now basically we're just going to let this sit and we're going to watch and make sure that as much as the liquid as possible has gone through. Here at 35 seconds, I'm going to pull the stone off my first brew. And then we're going to do the second pour, which is going to be 50 grams as well. And then on the second brew, we're coming up to 40 seconds. That's when I'm pulling off the stone. And then we're going to continue with another 100 grams. Now, part of the challenge with this setup is that it's definitely a little bit messy. I've been initially considering bringing it into a competition, but I can't figure out a workflow that actually looks and feels comfortable and is tidy enough without any kind of spilling or any small kind of mishacks. Now at 125, we're going to do the final pour of 100 grams on the first brew. And then at 130, we're going to do the final pour on the 20 to 300. Now, so you can experiment with basically chilling down different amounts of the coffee, of course. In general, I would say that 20 to 30% of your brew seems to be the most optimal. Doing less, I don't make much of a difference. Doing more, I'm chilling down the coffee a little bit too much, and I'm not quite happy with the result that I'm actually getting. Now, basically what we're going to do is we're going to let both of these go through properly. They're going to taste them, do a proper evaluation again. and then we're going to be right back with a little bit more details about the setup. We're back, and before I walk you through the taste experience here, I just want to communicate a little bit more about what are the details we're looking at here in terms of brewing. So water temperature here is at 95 degrees Celsius, which is about 2 to 3 degrees higher than what we usually are. That's also something that they recommend, to go up a little bit more in temperature, because obviously we're chilling it down the coffee. Now, secondly here, the brew time on the first one is about 2 minutes 20, which is pretty much what we're looking for. On the larger brew, we're at 2 minutes 40, so a little bit of a longer brew time here. Also kind of very much within the range that we're looking for in terms of the recipe, right? Now, I've been brewing with this setup for quite a long time now, and also again testing it for competition and so on and so on. And I think it's fair to say at this point is that we're struggling tasting that much of a difference when it comes to our roasted coffee. So basically, I've been playing around with a few kind of different, let's say, degrees of roasting styles, degrees of coffees. And I think it's fair to say that if you want to use this kind of technique and really be able to taste the difference, you're probably better off working with a darker roasted coffee. It just doesn't seem to translate that well to a lighter roasted coffee. Or perhaps you work with a coffee with very little acidity, a lot of earthy tones, a little bit heavier, then that can maybe clean it up a little bit more and make it perhaps a little bit juicier. But we haven't been able to see that much of a benefit from working with the coffees that we're roasting or other kind of light roasted coffee. That being said, we know a lot of you out there are using this, and we're super excited to hear your thoughts and your comments on it. Have you tried it with the April Brewer, for example? We find after a bunch of testing that these two are the best, or kind of our favorite versions of the recipes, but we're always super curious to hear what you think as well. Long story short, we think it's always really great when we see companies innovate and try to push something else to the market. Is this elevating the coffee to the next level? Probably not. Is it an interesting, fun thing to play with? Absolutely. And we're looking forward to what else they can come up with in the future as well, right? Now, with that, we want to, as always, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you sign up for Patreon. Those are the people that are going to hear about what we're up to here at April 1st. And with that, we just want to wish you a great day and thank you for watching. We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see, because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.